9 painful lessons you only learn after being ignored. You ever notice how being ignored hurts more than being yelled at? Because silence doesn't just sting. It forces you to face truths you were trying to avoid. And the hardest part? It's not the absence of their attention. It's the presence of your overthinking, your doubts, your realizations. Being ignored changes you. Slowly, quietly, permanently. And today, we're going to talk about the painful lessons you only learn after someone stops noticing you. Whether it's a friend, a partner, or someone you cared way too much about. Because the truth is, sometimes silence teaches you what words never could. Let's get into it. You see, when someone starts ignoring you, you don't just feel rejected. You feel erased. You question your worth, your presence, your impact. You start replaying conversations, wondering what you said wrong. You analyze tiny details. You search for clues that don't exist. Why? Because you care. Because you showed up. Because you invested your heart into someone who suddenly decided you weren't a priority anymore. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Being ignored is a form of clarity. Not the kind you want, but the kind you need. Because it teaches you things you could never learn when someone was giving you their full attention. Starting with the first lesson, Lesson 1. Silence reveals. Their true interest, people who care, don't leave you guessing. They don't go hours, days, or weeks without responding. They don't act like your presence is optional. When someone ignores you, it's not because they're too busy. It's because replying to you isn't a priority. And yes, that hurts. But it's also a gift, because it removes the illusion you created in your mind. Example? Think about that one friend you always text first, the one who takes days to reply, but somehow replies instantly to everyone else's stories. You weren't overthinking. You were just finally seeing the truth. Lesson 2. Your value isn't determined by someone's attention. When you're ignored, your brain goes into panic mode. You assume you did something wrong. You take their silence personally. But here's the reality. Your worth doesn't decrease because someone else stopped appreciating it. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to value you. Not everyone knows how to receive the kind of love and presence you give so naturally. Their inability to show up says nothing about your value and everything about theirs. Lesson 3. You learn. Who you were chasing. Being ignored exposes one uncomfortable truth. You were the one holding the connection together. You were the one texting first. You were the one making plans. You were the one putting in effort. And their silence forces you to confront a harsh reality. You were chasing someone who wasn't chasing you. It's not that they didn't have time. It's that they didn't make time. And that realization? It changes everything. Lesson 4. Attention is a choice, not an accident. You learn this pretty quickly. Nobody is too busy 24/7. People make time for what matters. If they don't, it's because you're not on their priority list, and you don't have to be angry about that. You just have to accept it. Because once you do, you finally stop hoping for the bare minimum. You stop waiting for messages that never come. You stop lowering your standards just to keep someone interested. Their effort, or lack of it, says more than any excuse they could ever give. Lesson 5. You stop over-explaining yourself. When you're ignored, at first you try harder. You text again, you send long messages, you ask if they're okay, but after enough silence, something shifts inside you. You stop explaining. You stop chasing. You stop begging for clarity you know you'll never get. You suddenly realize anyone who wants to stay will. And anyone who doesn't respond, their silence is your closure. Lesson 6. You recognize emotional breadcrumbs. Being ignored teaches you how to spot minimal effort, a random hey after disappearing for weeks, a late-night message when they're bored, a reaction to your story instead of an actual conversation. And finally, you understand. They weren't confused, they weren't busy, they weren't overwhelmed, they just wanted access to you, without having to invest in you. And you gave it to them, until now, lesson 7. You learn how to love yourself again. Being ignored forces you back into your own arms. You start giving yourself the attention you were begging others for. You rediscover hobbies, peace, solitude. You realize how much of yourself you were pouring into people who gave you so little in return. Eventually, the silence that once hurt becomes the silence that heals, because you start filling the spaces where their attention used to be with pieces of yourself you had forgotten. Lesson 8. You stop accepting half-hearted people. There's a moment, it always comes, when being ignored stops hurting and starts irritating you. You go from, "Why won't they talk to me?" to, "Why was I waiting for someone who didn't care?" Your self-respect grows quietly. Your standards rise naturally. You stop settling for inconsistency, excuses, and emotional laziness. You finally understand that love, friendship, loyalty, none of it should feel one-sided. Lesson 9. You realize they did you a favor. This is the final and most painful realization. The person who ignored you actually saved you. They removed themselves from your life before they could hurt you worse. They taught you what you don't want, what you won't tolerate, what you'll never chase again. Their silence broke an illusion and made room for someone real, someone consistent, someone intentional, someone who doesn't disappear when things aren't convenient. When someone ignores you, it feels like rejection. But later, you realize it was redirection. Being ignored is painful, but it's also powerful. It teaches you who's real. It teaches you who's worth your time. And most importantly, it teaches you how to stop giving your heart to people who don't know what to do with it. Silence isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your clarity. If this message hit home, drop a in the comments. Like the video, if it opened your eyes, share it with someone who keeps giving their energy to people who don't deserve it. And subscribe for more real, raw psychology and self-respect lessons every week. Remember, being ignored doesn't make you unworthy. It makes you wiser.